Our other major breaking story, President Trump has taken to Twitter to tell Russia to get ready for a US missile attack on Syria. Trump said the missiles will be coming nice and new and smart, and he warned Moscow that it shouldn't be partners with what he termed a gas-killing animal, his reference to the Syrian leader Bashar al-Assad. Russia's already responded. A foreign ministry spokeswoman has just said smart missiles should fly towards terrorists, not legal government. The US, as you know, has proposed this strike in response to an alleged chemical weapons attack by Syria's government on civilians. Let's go to Moscow now, and our correspondent Steve Rosenberg. Steve, there's more coming out of Moscow on this rather fast developing story.
Well, I mean, not surprisingly, Donald Trump's words haven't gone down well here in Moscow. Obviously, the American president wasn't listening to President Putin's spokesman earlier today. Dmitry Peskov had said that all sides in this conflict should avoid steps that would significantly destabilize an already fragile situation in the region. But it seems that President Trump's comments have poured oil on the situation. And, you know, we've used the phrase war of words many times over the last 4 or 5 years, really, to describe the deteriorating relations between Russia and the West. But look at the words being used now, and you see how dangerous this situation is. For example, we heard words of a senior Russian senator today saying that if the US was to launch a missile strike against Syria, Russia would definitely respond. He said, even though Russia knows that could lead to war, not to react could open the path to new US provocations. And he said, don't test Russia's patience, don't push Russia into a corner. And we heard the words of the Russian ambassador to Lebanon, talking about Russia would shoot down US missiles and possibly the source of those missiles too. So the language is becoming stronger by the day, and that, as you can see, leads to a dangerous situation.
It does. And from the other side, Steve, this is more anger than I have ever seen directed at Russia by this president, or in fact any US president, more public anger. And coming in the wake of the story about, you know, the poisoned spy, relations are truly toxic.
Yeah, I mean, just when you think that relations couldn't get any worse, really, between Russia and the West, they do. You know, I was reading the Russian newspapers today, and one Russian newspaper said, is macho Trump, that was their words, starting a third world war, suggesting that a US missile strike would spark a Russian response which could create an open conflict between two nuclear powers. So this is strong stuff. And it should be said, though, of course, that neither America nor Russia wants the conflict in Syria to expand into a conflict between America and Russia. But the danger of this situation, with America planning apparently a missile strike against Syria and Russian officials saying that Russia will respond and retaliate, is of some accidental clash, accidental confrontation that could put Moscow and Washington on the path to confrontation.
Steve, thank you very much.
Stay tuned. We're going to talk about it on today's edition of True News. This is True News. I'm Rick Wiles. Your True News team is not traveling to Peru tomorrow. President Trump canceled his scheduled attendance at the Summit of the Americas in Lima, Peru. The White House said Mr. Trump will remain in the USA this week to oversee the U.S. response to the alleged chemical weapons attack in